So for Milestone 5, here is my finished code in the Uno game. Obviously, I just went back and revised what I did in Milestone 4. The big changes were mainly in my Uno class, and I was taking things from my player class. But to start off, this actually was in the player and the hand class. It was just how I was dealing my cards. And that was happening within the player class, and it was given access to the deck always, and that just wasn't the right model. So I moved it into the Uno class, and now it passes cards out the right way. Next up, the big one that I did was I had a play turn method in my player class, but I ended up completely moving that out of the player class and just putting the code directly into my Uno class, and was able to get that working. Instead of calling just this.hand like I would in my player, I had to do current player.getHand, as you can see here on line 110. And that was the big change I made for Milestone 5. Other than that, that was pretty much it. So I'm just gonna make my console pretty big so we can run through the game. And as you'll see, if we go to the top here, it's a long game. Welcome to the game, welcome message, everything. Everyone has received their hands. And if we follow it all the way down, we can see that player 2 ended up winning the game, and the game ended. So there's my quick little update on my revised code from Milestone 5. Now to go over to the poster presentation. In this project, we just had 5 milestones, creating flowcharts, storyboards, ADT, UML, and then the actual source code behind our Uno game, which we did in the Eclipse IDE. Our phase 1 was just the analysis, so this consisted of the flowcharts and the storyboards. And milestone 1, that's where the flowcharts and storyboards were made. This actually really helped us and helped me plan out how I wanted to build my game in the future. Before even touching code, I was able to get a map of where I wanted to go with my code. In phase 2, this was the design. It really dealt with our classes and trying to think of object-oriented programming. And so we created an ADT and a UML, and these just spread apart our classes, gave specific methods and data within each class. Again, before we touched source code, or before we touched any of the code, we did this. So when we got into the code, we had a lot of things figured out in our heads. So that made phase 3 a whole lot easier when we actually go in Milestone 4 and create everything. So it was a lot of work because I had to create the fully functioning game of Uno, but with my maps and stuff I had already laid out, it became pretty easy. But it also made me realize that some of my UML diagrams and flowcharts were wrong in some areas, because when you get to the code, you realize that you need more classes in one area, methods shouldn't be in certain places. So I actually went back and revised the UML diagram, the storyboard, the flowchart. So that was Milestone 4. And then Milestone 5, we got back comments from the professor, and I went back and fixed that, revised dealing my cards, as you can see down here. Had a take dealt card method, and this is in the Uno class. Got our game console output working, and that was it for Milestone 5. And the big one was my play turn method. Got that out of the player because it was given too much access to the deck and the pile. So yeah, personal retrospective. Learned a lot in Java. It was actually, this Uno game was quite a big challenge, so I was happy to do that. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to the rest of my time at GCU in software development. So that's Milestone 5.